Y'all hear it?
Nope.
Start over again. Hold on a second. I always forget to do that.
Uh-oh.
We lost her.
I don't know. When black screen.
All right, I'm about to kick it off.
Yeah. Buddha peso. Smoking mirrors uncut. Listen, it's smoking mirrors. Raw uncut, it's smoking mirrors. You know what's up. It's smoking mirrors. Raw uncut, it's smoking mirrors. You know what's up. Yeah. It's smoking mirrors. Raw uncut, it's smoking mirrors. You know what's up. It's smoking mirrors. You know you hear us. Listen, smoking mirrors be the station. Them boys uncut raw, no hesitation. Just tune in, the vibes are so amazing. It's all real talk here, that's word to Jason. Shout out to J.Lee, them boys on a mission. Gunning for the #1 spot, pay attention. Knocking out the competition, Sonny listen. And D.Troy serving game like a piston. Shot clock, jump shot, all net with a feeling. The squad set it off, cause a riot in the building. Syndicates to bed, this ain't suited for the children. And talking cheap when they speak, you see millions. Turn it up one time. If you looking for smoke, then pull it up online. It's right there. Look in the mirror first glance, it's quite clear. That BMore got them scared like a nightmare. They blowing smoke through any city, take a flight there. And guaranteed to ring bells like a bike fair. Then Debo the whole set, they don't fight fair. Cause smoking mirrors gaining buzz like a light, yeah. You know? Raw on the cut, smoking mirrors, you know what's up. Smoking mirrors, raw on the cut, smoking mirrors, you know what's up. Yeah, it's smoking mirrors, raw on the cut, smoking mirrors, you know what's up. It's smoking mirrors, you know you hear us.
What up, what up, what up?
What's good, my people? What's good?
Who kicking this off? I think it's your turn.
You.
Me? I thought it
You.
was your turn,
You
B-Mo.
started. What's up?
Oh, welcome, everybody, to another episode of Smoking Mirrors Uncut. I'm your boy J.Lee. We got your boy BMore.
You.
Your boy D.Troy.
Ch-ch-ch.
And we got a special guest.
Special guest.
All the way down from Texas. Texas.
Put the slang on it.
Cancer Mystique. What's going on, Cancer Mystique? Can you hear me?
It's all
Oh, you
good.
can.
It's all good.
It's
Thank
all
y'all
good?
for having me. Yeah.
Now, how'd you get that name, Cancer Mystique? What does that represent?
I actually just came up with that one night. A short story. Most people who get to know me, they're like, "Oh, you have some sort of mystery around you." I don't feel that way, but they do. And then I'm a Cancer, which my birthday is coming up. Woo woo. So I put the
July.
two together.
Okay.
So yeah, my boss, he always tells me I'm an enigma. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna have this alias as Cancer Mystique. Like,
Okay.
there you go.
I like
There
that.
it is. There it is.
that.
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
There it is.
Thank you.
Oh, we're gonna start off by saying Happy Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth, definitely.
Yeah.
This is something special to us. Now it's crazy though because I always heard about Juneteenth, but I didn't hear about it when I was younger. Did y'all hear about it when y'all was younger?
Mm-mm.
You did?
Nah, I can't say that I have.
Yeah, you did.
I did.
At
Yeah.
what age like did you start hearing?
Probably like my sophomore year of high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Mhm.
Oh, well, if we talk about then, I think I heard of it around that time, around high school time.
But I didn't hear from. I mean, I'll get it to it later. I'll let you go ahead and jump it off. But I heard it from a special person that always try to feed me little gems because you're not learning certain things in high school. So he always would feed me little gems. You know what I mean? So, but once we get into it, I'll talk about him a little bit.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, but I mean, the people that don't know why it's special to us, I mean, we celebrate 4th of July, but everybody knows 1776 slaves were still slaves. And it wasn't until at that point in time where we actually were free. And we still wasn't free for years still after that because you still had Jim Crow era and a bunch of other civil rights violations. But at least that was the one point in time where we were free, supposed to be free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a symbolic date.
It is. It really is.
Basically, when they talk about Texas, when the Union soldiers got down to Galveston, Texas,
Right.
and told people that they were actually free at that date. Well, what was crazy about that is the Union still had slaves up until December of that year.
They did.
Yeah.
They did. Actually, yeah. Up until December, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Actually, it was what it was like 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed,
Yeah.
and those soldiers, I mean, Texas was the last of the stronghold holding slaves. They didn't want to give up slaves at
What's
all.
up with Texas? I don't know what's up with it, but go ahead.
Yeah, what's up with them Texas people?
No, we like to make money, obviously. I guess.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So they didn't get the memo till about 2.5 years later.
Yeah.
But I mean, they freed the slaves, but still wasn't free.
Yeah.
That's a little deceptive too when you talk about the 2.5 years because they were still fighting at that point, so they didn't succeed until April of I think that same year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it was still going. It was signed, but everything was still going on. The message wasn't really getting out as quick as it needed to be.
Exactly.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Right.
and Texas wanted to keep that slavery going, man. They wanted to. They was the last of the stronghold. They wanted it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I was actually gonna mention that. I was like, "Oh, poor Texas, we were like the last ones to say, oh wait, y'all are supposed to be free." But let me ask a question. I believe I heard that Juneteenth, depending on where you are in the country, it's on different dates of June. Have y'all heard that, or do y'all know that to be true?
Nah, I've never heard
yeah,
that.
I don't know it to be true, but it would make some type of sense because the message wasn't getting out to certain states. Like we got cell phones, we got all types of stuff to communicate with each other. Of course, back then it was just horse
Word of
riding,
mouth.
so word of mouth and stuff like that. So it's some truth to it, but this day right here became the so-called national day of recognition.
Right.
And to give Texas some credit, I do believe that was the first state to actually put it in as a state celebration.
Really?
I think so. I think Texas was the first state to do that, to recognize it.
And I see
As
some
a
people
holiday.
actually making it a national holiday and giving people off work now.
Yeah.
I did see that.
I
Which is
wish.
dope. Which is dope. Definitely.
Yeah.
I think like Nike, Twitter, who else? It's a couple other big corporations, which is dope, actually.
Yeah.
Right. Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, it's the sign of the times. Everybody's trying to change to the sign of the times.
Man.
Yeah. How y'all
Yeah,
feel
like-
about all the changes? Like, I mean,
Hey, like I said before, either you with or against us. You
Right.
better jump on this. Either you want to be left behind or not. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
we
Now-
want progress. We want change. So why not?
So how
Better
do you,
late than never.
how do y'all feel about the Aunt Jemima change? How do you feel about that?
Can we actually get a little more detail? Like, can you kind of tell us like what exactly is going on with the Aunt Jemima change, so that we can kind of gear our perspectives toward
Well,
the entirety.
Well, apparently they plan on removing her as off the bottle as the face, and when it was originally started, they used her as the face of this syrup to sell it, and they had the rag on her head. I don't know if you remember the old Aunt Jemima bottles. They had that rag,
Yep.
and it kind of symbolized the mammy back in the days, and that sold. The mammy took care of the white people's kids, and she cooked for them. So that was why you had your Uncle Ben and you had your Aunt Jemima and you had things like that. So it was kind,
Zatarans.
yeah, it was kind of a way to as a symbol, and they used that symbol for years to make money off of.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah.
so that's why it's always had a stain on the history of America of what it represented. So I
Oh,
think, go ahead.
I was about to say, I just seen this. Okay, so I'm on CNN Business, right?
Mm,
And this is something I did not know. It said that Aunt Jemima's appearance has evolved over time.
it
The
did.
brand's origin and logo is based off. Oh, I'm sorry. Now I got pop-ups everywhere.
Hmm.
It's based off of a song that used to be sung in a minstrel show, like in the
Yes.
1980s. Yeah, and so I didn't know that. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Hmm.
But I
Yeah.
know that it's very derogatory. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Now over time, yeah, they changed her up and made her look a lot better now and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it just falls back to the origin. Now, I don't think me personally, I don't think it represents that anymore. Um, and it's it, I think it's kind of a double sided sword right there because now what you gonna put on there? There's not too many products that they actually have black people's faces on, and now you're gonna take one of the few that's out there off, you know. So
Mm.
Ooh, ooh, okay. All right, I'm gonna chime in on that.
go ahead.
So, I think where I am is that if you can't put a black face on a brand
Mm,
that uplifts us, or also too that money comes to us, then it shouldn't be on there at all. Because also too, what we fail to realize is that it's an energy behind that. And also too, I
right.
feel like
What's up, Piggy?
it's a very sarcastic. I feel like it's a very sarcastic way of kind of slapping us in the face, like, oh yeah, so we don't have you in slavery, and you ain't got to serve us food, but technically we still serve food and making money off of your servitude.
Right.
And so with that being said, it's like, okay, yeah, it's the few with a black face, but the thing is that this black face is demeaning. It's almost like a hidden joke in a way.
Right.
That's how I.
Yeah. I feel you. I feel you. I understand. I understand your point there. Definitely. Definitely. So what would you suggest they do?
Man, that's hard. I say just get rid of all of it, but we know we can't do that. I feel like, dang, that's a hard question because also too, um, how does that, like, if you're gonna use our pain and trauma to make money off of it, then how do you reroute that back to us?
Mm.
I feel like that would be one of the
Oh, we lost her. Oh.
Back in.
name. That's a really good question. I think it's so complex and it's so the history is so deeply rooted
Mm.
um that 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 is not a straight answer at all.
Okay. Okay. Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Now? How do y'all feel about it, fellas?
I mean, it's similar to me. I think it's high time for a lot of those things to get reworked, rethought about, rebrought up. A new conversation to be had about what are you actually using it for? What is it for? What's the history of it? And how can you further uh, use it for either for the community or whatever the case may be? So in that case, they chose to take it off and change the name, which I think is a decent idea. And then um, they can recommit basically to community and start giving up some dividends or something,
Mm.
towards whatever they had made throughout the years, banking off of their commercials, be it whatever, using that symbol, using that name. So I think the answer was in what Cancer Mystique said.
Right.
So basically the same way you said that they needed to take it down is the same reason why they should put in. You know what I mean? So I
Right.
think that answers itself. We're
Right.
losing people left and right today, huh? What's
Yeah,
going
I
on?
know, right?
Nah,
Everybody
nah.
bouncing.
It's the internet.
The
Yeah.
internet's
But anyway, I definitely agree with Cancer Mystique, and I believe I definitely agree with BMore.
Right.
Um, it's just time. It's time for progress. It's time for change. So
Mm,
yeah, if you want to take those images off, by all means, have at it. But let's start allocating those dividends that you made off the decades and decades of those negative connotations of what we supposedly look like on those boxes and on those bottles. Start allocating those to the community of color.
right.
Um, why not? Let's start helping out. Let's start helping out these communities that are redlined. You know what I'm saying? Let's start helping out.
that we targeted with our commercials to get the money and stuff. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? And I'll
So
respond to
yeah, go ahead.
Miss Camp said, my question is, why are people offended now? It's been like that for decades. I
Mm,
don't think that's really the question. I think people have always been offended, but what do you
Correct.
do? What do you do at that point? Now it's just like, all right, we're gonna bring this back up. It's always been an issue. It's been talked about before. You can look at it. You'll
mm,
see people who have talked about it before, about what they represent, about what it's on. Some people care more than others, definitely. You know what I
okay.
mean? That didn't stop me from buying their products. I'm gonna be honest. I still bought Uncle Ben's, still bought Zatarain's. You know what I mean? Um, but that doesn't mean I was happy with what they had, you know, as their image or whatever. But if the times are changing, times need to change. And you're like, yeah, this needs to go too. So
Yeah.
So Gordon Tolson said people have been offended. It just was dismissed as those blacks. Same thing with the Redskins. They have been going at it for years, and that's true.
exactly,
That's
Yeah.
true. People have really
Yeah.
they've been pissed about the Redskins for years. That name.
it
Yeah.
just ain't
I'll tell
changing.
you what though, the Redskins did make a small step today,
They did.
which I give them a slow clap. Slow clap.
Mm-hmm.
Um, their racist owner, not the owner they have now, but previous to him, he was racist back in the 40s and 60s. I
Mm-hmm.
believe his name was whoever. But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
he had a statue. He had a statue in front of the stadium. Today they decided to remove that statue.
Really?
So yeah, so that's a step towards to the right direction.
Mm.
Um, so now the next step is how about the name?
Right.
How about the name taking that name away? That's the next step. So
Yeah.
we'll see how far they take it. His name was George Preston Marshall. There it is. Um, let's see how far they take it now. Let's see if they get rid of that name. So they made a small step. Small step.
Now, how would y'all feel
Um,
if they did get rid of the name?
Why not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Saint back in the day, St. John's University used to be called the St. John's Redmond. They changed the name to St. John Red Storm.
Okay.
This is like late 80s, early 90s. They changed the name.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
Yeah. Why not?
Cancer. You was about to say something? Go ahead.
yeah. Yeah. In regard to Nicole's comments, like, it's been this way, why be offended about it now? And I like the fact that, people are speaking up. No, we've always been offended. This is the first time we've been heard. But also, too, from my perspective, it's also about healing. And sometimes in order to heal, you have to go back to the root of trauma. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm,
also, too, I feel like if we're like, well, it's been this way for years, why make a fuss about it now? It kind of dismiss something that us as the black community needs to do, which is heal. And so that is my perspective from it. It is sometimes you're very passive about things, and sometimes when you're passive, you can't you can't be surprised. You know what they say: you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. You
Yeah.
can't be surprised that we've come this far because some of us have been speaking up, but in lower groups, but majority wise, we have been so passive. And
Yeah.
so, with everything that's going on and with the statues being taken down and the names being changed, we're looking our trauma in the face. And what is that trauma? The fact that many companies, America as a whole, has been able to profit off of our pain and our suffering and our oppression. And so also too, we're realizing, okay, I'm tired of begging my abuser for privilege. I'm tired of begging my abuser, to accept me, to love me, to see me, to sympathize with my pain. And so I feel like with everything that's going on, that's what's going on, because just as much as this is black and white or black against America, is also something that's spiritual as well. There's a spiritual cleansing going on. And so I like to look at it from all levels. So, you could be in an abusive relationship for years, right? And they're like, okay, well, he been beating your ass, right? Why say something now? Because you're ready for change.
That's
And
true.
that's where we're heading. We're ready to get
See,
away. We're
preaching.
ready.
That's a good enough.
I like it.
I felt
Preaching.
that.
I like it.
We're ready. We're ready to finally heal, and I'm going to drop this. We can definitely talk about this another day, but
Nah, go ahead. Do you?
people they come to me and they ask me, about things that's going on, and I'm like, you know what? Oh, good comment, Gordon. Definitely. Um, everything that's going on, there has to be a period where you say, okay, no more of this. And I recommend people to check out Dr. Joy DeGruy with post-traumatic slave syndrome, because
Okay.
that was the first book that I read. It was the first lecture that I heard that really helped me to see things from a different perspective, to start to heal as a Black woman. Because yes, you can fight, but it's more about how you fight rather than when you fight. And now we're fighting in such a way where now change can come.
Mm.
I like
I
it.
never heard of that. I never heard of that specific author or book, but I've listened to a lot of different orators about the subject, and I was just talking to a cousin the other day about it, because I mean, it gets real deep, but I hate counterproductive comments like, "Oh, we stopping cops from killing us. Are we going to work on us killing? Or are we going to work on us stop killing us?" And I'm just like, you feeding into the rhetoric. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people don't believe in that, and I'm not saying that what's funny.
Nah, because that irritates me when people. They're two totally different crimes.
They really are.
And I think a lot of people that say that aren't from inner cities, and they don't know what it's like to be in an inner city. You can't just stop crime. You ain't no superhero. But we can go to the government and stop cops from killing us. We can do that.
Thank you.
I can't stop Ray Ray from shooting Tyrone outside. I can't.
Completely different thing. And my thing is, they make it seem like nobody is fighting against that. Yes, we are fighting against that, and it's not. They act like it's a one problem thing, and it's so much that goes into that. And I was just like, my response to that was kind of like, people kill people. You're never going to stop that.
You can't.
Not only that, people almost always are killing people within their own communities.
They are.
So don't fall for, obviously we definitely want.
We want black on black crime to stop. We
We
want it to
want-
stop.
That ain't even the thing. We just want people to stop killing people, period.
We do. Across the
We
board.
want that. Everybody wants that. But as human nature, that's going to continue.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But if we can stop the actual system from killing us, that's a step, because they're not supposed to be.
Yeah. I want to be able to go to the cops and tell them about Ray Ray and Tyrone.
Exactly.
But I don't want to go to the cops and they kill me before I can
even
tell them.
trying to tell you
Yeah,
exactly.
like, come on.
Facts.
We got to be able to trust
Yeah,
somebody.
Like,
Those
Facts.
topics are so
Motives are
different,
different.
and I get so tired of telling people, and that's why I'm trying to tell you, it's so conditioned in us to be like, oh, we gotta do, we like, no, you've been conditioned to think that way, because in every community, the people that look like them kill them more times than not.
Definitely.
Now, I'm not
Yeah.
saying that
Yep.
we might, I haven't looked at the stats in a while. I have looked at them, before, but I'm not saying that we might not be a little more. But then we could also talk about that. We can explain that, and the communities that we're in, and what's happening, and everything that's going on. I'm like, there's so much dealing with that. So
you can't create a monster and you get mad when the monster do monster stuff.
exactly.
And that monster, that poverty monster, that crime monster, that putting black people in that situation was created years ago when they created projects.
Orchestrated.
Yes.
Not we fell into it. It was orchestrated.
Yeah.
Like I said previously, redlining, homeboy.
Yep.
Redlining.
Yep.
They actually burned down their towns and kicked them out of their own houses and pushed them all into these impoverished areas. And you think that they're not going to commit crimes after that? You know, like, come on.
Yeah, man.
Y'all all made like some good points. One thing that I like to think about, one, different motives, right? Blacks killing blacks versus policemen killing blacks is the two different motives here. So let me lay this out. Okay, so one, I once watched a documentary that talked about after slavery was after black people was let go, I guess I'm gonna say let go because slavery, whatever. Okay, let go. Most of your overseers and stuff became policemen. Then later on down the line, you also had the KKK. I also read a book from a CIA whistleblower. His name is Kevin Shipp. And the book is from the Company of Shadows. And he talks about how when these police officers and stuff go into training, they are trained with the intent black skin kill. Mm-hmm. Also, too, another question that I like to ask is, okay, what happened before we had this black on black crime? Like, if you think about like way back in the day when you didn't hear about black on black crime, we still had police brutality. Mm-hmm. So it's also two different motives and also two different problems. But the thing is that like what was stated, intergroup killings, that's gonna happen. But there's a difference between a killing and then us being terrorized. So that's also, because that's what's happening. We are being terrorized, and we have been terrorized since they started using us for labor. You know what I'm saying? So there's a difference. Like, okay, you do me wrong, I'm gonna catch you out in these streets. Okay, I got you. But to just be living my life and you're terrorizing me as a people, as a person, just because of the color of my skin, because you've been indoctrinated to feel that way toward me and to go after me like that is two totally different things.
Yeah,
totally.
I had one time I was sitting on my step back in the day with my dog. I had a cop walk. I guess he was looking for something. He walks into my yard, grabs his gun, and is like, "Get your dog." I'm looking like, "You in my yard?" But he literally had his gun like he was about to shoot my dog, but he was on my property. Like. But people don't know these stories that they encounter. Now, if I was some rah-rah dude, who knows what could have happened.
Yeah. I think we all have them stories. I have a story too. I won't even share that. It is what it is. Growing up in the city, you're going to get your dealings. And I think a lot of people have those dealings. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
there's stories for days.
Yeah, story for days. And I think that, obviously we get the brunt of it, but I think that transcends past us, past just black people, just that whole organization, period, and what they do and what they feel they can do to people, to citizens. And that's a shame, but.
So Still said he's happy to see the status quo changing for the betterment of his brothers and sisters. But his fear is how genuine this movement is. Do those in power who have no love for the black community truly going to follow through, or are they just riding the current media? Good point.
Like we've said in the past couple podcasts, man. Mm-hmm. It's about action.
Yep.
We can't. We're hoping for the best, but we can't justify anything until we see action.
I feel different about this movement right now, though. I feel way different.
Because we've sat so much, we've walked peacefully so much. Now, like Cancer said, the change is different. It's more militant than everything. We're not peaceful anymore. It's more.
Let's take our country back.
Exactly. It's that type of movement. Put it this way: there's a reason why Martin Luther King was killed, right?
Mm.
He wasn't killed because he was passive. He was killed because he became more aggressive. He became more militant. He was against the war. He was against the war, right? He started talking. He started talking about more against the war. So what they do? We can't have this passive black man. No, we can't have this. He's about to mess up our money. So once we became unpassive and became more aggressive, that's what we need for change in this country. So until we see the actions, you know what I mean, we can't really judge until we see action. That's just me. That's just me talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to. I just go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, I was about to say. I just want us to get to the point where everybody could be proud to be American,
Period.
and we can move on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Period.
Just
It's
proud
gonna
to be
take.
American.
It's gonna take. It's gonna take a minute. It's gonna take a minute.
Oh yeah.
But we getting there.
Man,
Baby
I
steps.
tell you
We
what,
getting
it's faster than what I was thinking.
We getting there. We getting
Yeah,
there.
it's gonna take a long minute because you have to think about the very root and fabric of America. It has always been them against us. So it's gonna take a long time. But okay, so D.Troy, you are preaching what I have been preaching in secret to my peeps. You know, have any of y'all ever had a bully like in school coming up?
Oh yeah.
Nah.
Okay.
Yeah. D.Troy was the he was the bully.
Nah, I was beating up the bully.
Okay, well, I just asked that to kind of give this analogy that I've been giving to my close peeps when we have these discussions. You know, in order to beat a bully, you have to talk in the language in which they understand, which is pain, terror, violence.
Yep.
And so, as D.Troy was saying, why they take out Martin Luther King? Well, you think about the massive influence that he had and all the people that was following him that looked up to him as a leader. If he turned militant, it's about to go down. So they was like, got to get him. Yeah. But Gordon, he actually said something. He was like, he felt like we have more financial and I think intellectual prowess. So I'm sorry if I'm messing up your words, but that comment caught my eye. Thank you. I think we have more of an economic acumen, prowess, and power now. Perfect. And so this is step one. How do you get a bully off his back? Well, everybody who's had a bully knows the bully don't stop messing with you until you beat the bully ass. True. So this is the militant we're talking about, right? But then also too, when I sit and I have to meditate about a lot of stuff because I don't want to be extremely emotional to the point where I can't use my logic.
Right.
And so now the second step is, okay, one,
we like you.
We need to see. I'm like, one, we do have this business acumen. So now what we need to do is we need to hit them financially. Why, in my opinion, desegregation didn't happen because they're like, we see y'all as humans and you're right, you should come over here. No, it was about the money. If we pull the money and we put it back into us, but also too, this comes back to healing because you think about it. When we did have Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma was not the only Black Wall Street. We had them all over the U.S., but we're traumatized. You have somebody come up in there and terrorize you and take your money and bomb you and write laws to reroute things that was supposed to benefit your people for them. You're traumatized. But now we have a warrior class here. So there's healing as well as now we have our warriors. I don't like to say militant because that word kind of have a weird connotation. Yeah, we got our warrior class. So that's what's happening now. And that's how I tell people, get out of your emotions. Why do we keep giving our money to somebody who mistreat us? Take the money back. Also, too, even within us as Black people, some people will call them coons. Some of them will call them informants. Yeah. All skin folk ain't kin folk. We need to use our minds and we need to use our spirituality to check spirits and use our discernment to know who is our riders and who gonna mess the whole operation up. Yeah. So
like Candace Owens. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We already talked about it. She's a white supremacist.
I'm not gonna start. We're not even.
Don't
We're not even
start.
gonna
Let's not
mention her
start.
name.
Let's not start.
She is a. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I think it was
She's not from
Boyce
Texas,
Watkins.
is he? She's not from Texas, right?
No, she is like Jamaican or something. No, she ain't from Texas. Don't you dare put that over here. But I think it was Boyce Watkins. One time I saw a quote that really stuck with me, and he was like, "We have some people that are white supremacists in blackface."
That's true.
And
Yeah.
that really spoke out to me. So it's time for us to really come together. You know, no longer are we playing checkers, right? Checkers to me is like the emotion part. Oh, I just want to jump you and I'm just trying to win. We now playing chess. And it's time to come together, and it's time for us to use our logic and be strategic. And that's what's happening. So this is step one. But to really move it forward, we have to move together on an economic level, on the emotional level, on a spiritual level, and definitely on a mental level. So
Okay. Okay.
that's what I feel.
I
I
like
just want to. Oh, you brought it up. Okay, yeah. Go ahead, Lee.
So Nicole Camp said there's been an influx of folks supporting black businesses. Small businesses are trying to support the demand. Do you think the energy will remain the same? I think it will
I
and
think
it
it'll
won't.
be half and half.
Yep. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I think it'd be half and half. And this goes back to the comment before. What's the brother name? I'm so sorry. I'm reading
Gordon.
the
You
comments
talking
so
about Gordon?
hard.
You probably
talk about
not
Gordon.
Oh, still.
It's-
Probably
still.
still. You talking about this
well,
guy?
because
you talking
it was yes. Is it
Mhm.
Damari? He said, "Are they just riding the current media? Like, do you think they'll truly follow through?" And this is why I said we have to come together and we have to know who's for us or against us, even within our own group, because it'll be half and half. Some of them are riding the emotional energy,
Mhm.
while some of us are coming together and we're like, okay, how do we come together politically? How do we come together economically? So if I feel like those who are asking this question, they're like, I'm the writers, but I'm trying to weed out the ones that's being like, I know it's fake, right? You just in it for the moment. For us that are not in it just for the moment, this is why we need to come together, because it's gonna be half and
Yeah.
half. And the ones that's just riding it, to look good and to as I say, ease their guilty conscience because they only black when it benefits them. Those are the ones we gotta push to the side.
I don't know. I don't know about that. It's about resources too. Some people don't have those resources. We have to be careful about who we push to the side, and that's one reason I'd always, push against is trying to make somebody an enemy that isn't readily an enemy. You see what I'm saying?
Not
They
so
might
much.
not be as in it as some people, but we have to be careful who we just like. I know you ain't with us no more because you did this, that, or you ain't as fervent as I am, or whatever the case may be. I think we gotta be careful with that. And I think some people just aren't. Uh, Again, same thing. Basically, just aren't in it as much. You know what I mean? They just aren't in it as much. Some people are very, very into it, and some people aren't. And also about those resources. So if even me, I'm into it, but my resources right now is, I got to go to Walmart, I got to go whatever. I don't have to because I could outsource and maybe buy stuff online, but I need something real quick right now. So what is my resource as of right now? Whereas though somebody else that's close to, I got 25 businesses close to me that are really in for it. I'm a just patronize those. You see what I'm saying? So I think it's a mixed bag with that.
Now, Still said, he said Mexican, Asian, Italian, Turkish, Middle Easterners, Chinese, etc. all have their own countries to send the USA money to. Where do we as black communities send our money to? I don't know.
That's what we need to fix because it doesn't circulate at all in our community.
No, it doesn't.
Well, yeah, and so
black-owned banks
would
do that. Black-owned banks would do that.
And there's only a few.
Yeah.
There's only a few, but I don't know how they work with.
I think One United
I know it's one in Philly. There's a couple in Philly actually.
And I think we have one in Houston here in Texas.
Yeah, and they actually do take the money that they get and circulate it into the black communities.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. So, BMore, I have a question for you.
What's that?
Because you talked about the resources. And so that's, you brought up a really good point. I think that's where I'm kind of like, I kind of struggle with that, because the thing is that what if you have somebody that have the resources, but because they're not really in the movement of trying to rebuild the black community. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like, I feel like you have to have both. Like, yeah, you have to have the resources, but we also need to make sure you have the heart and the mind. You know what I'm saying?
True.
Because what if they have those and I think that's what I'm trying to say. Like, those that don't have a balance of both. Let me say a balance of both. We kind of need to push them to the side, because you can have the resources and not, not want to work in such a way to help us rebuild and see us succeed, but then you can also not have the resources and still have the negative energy, right? When it comes to helping us to build and stuff, because some people are teachers, some people are thinkers, some people
Yeah.
have the resources. So yeah, so I guess I need to reword that a little better than how I put that. But that was my question to you. So when we talk about these resources, are you just like, okay, they got the resources, so come on, or you got resources, but we gotta check out where your mind at?
I mean, I'm never against just pushing somebody out. That's just me. That's my thought process on that. If you're already fighting a losing battle, how much more do you keep cutting people off? Definitely somebody that's a detriment, you have to. You know what I mean? You can have somebody that, um, I was in the military, so you can have somebody that's not a good shooter. He's not against you, but he's not a good shooter. But what he can do is he can help bring you ammo, he can help bring you water, he can help bring you do other stuff. So do you just completely get rid of him because he can't shoot, because he can't fight?
Okay.
Or
No.
that's my mindset.
Right.
That's my mindset
Okay.
for it. You might not be in the same position that I'm in, but if you're not against me, especially in a losing war, I'm not going to just cast you aside and say I can't do nothing with you. That's just my
Okay.
idea, and maybe I misunderstood what you were saying about that.
No, yeah, I think that we're saying the same thing. We're just kind of talking in circles. I think the key word that you said was detriment, and that's where I'm at. If you are a detriment,
Yeah,
like, you could just bring the whole
the whole thing.
operation
That yeah,
down. That's what. So no, we're
nah,
on the same page. Thank
yeah,
you for
get
clarifying
out
that.
of here.
Thank
We don't need you. You're
Yeah,
not
get
helping
your
here.
ass out. Yeah, no, that's perfect. That's perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
All right,
Um,
so I think I'm gonna switch it up real quick.
Yeah, switch it up.
I'm gonna switch it up real quick.
Hold on,
So,
real
go ahead.
quick. So, I mean, we talked about Juneteenth. Juneteenth is very inspirational to us. It's a good symbolism for us. Um, we want everyone to not only learn about history, but Black history too. Black history all kind of intertwined together.
Mhm.
So I challenge people to learn about people of color that were inventors, musicians, poets, writers. I'll challenge you to look up Langston Hughes, uh, Jack Johnson, who not only was the first black heavyweight champion, he was also an inventor. Um, I challenge you to look up Angela Davis, um, the Buffalo Soldiers, Huey Newton. Um, I don't know.
It's countless names.
Yeah, it's just countless of names. And look up these people, learn what they invented. Um, shit, Dizzy Gillespie, Miles Davis. Look up anybody. But these people are prominent people not only in Black history but also in American history. And like I said previously, I'd like to thank uh, Dr. Hunter, my college professor, who put me on to a lot of these people that I didn't know. I also like to thank Mr. Ted Bryant. Thank you, sir. Thank you for putting me on to a lot of information that I didn't know. And you brought that love for history into my life, especially Black history. And I would like to say thank you to you, also to your wife, who was my English teacher, straight from Africa, challenged every Black student in our class. And she was hard, but she challenged you and you learned. So special shout out to them. That's it.
All That's what's up.
Yeah. I would like to piggyback off of D.Troy. There's a book. When he was talking, I was like, "Oh, I got a book." Okay, if y'all, I well, I don't think I can see them, but I got these two huge bookshelves. I'm
Oh,
a
we see
reader.
him.
We
We see
stand.
him.
Okay, yeah,
We know
y'all
you
got
read.
some of my favorites back there. And I got some more coming, but there's a book called 1001 Things Everyone Should Know About African American History by Jeffrey C. Stewart. And this is how I learned about like Crispus Attucks. I never heard that name
Yeah.
ever in a history class. Like it has a lot of black, and especially because BMore, you talk about you being in the military at
Mhm.
one time. It talks about a lot of African American contributions in the wars.
Oh yeah,
So this
a
is
lot.
that's like a really good. I think I'm gonna put that in the chat. I
Okay.
guess I
Learned
need
a
to
lot
put that in the
about
chat
that.
so
Yeah,
people can check that
we'll
out.
get it
Yeah.
posted for you.
Yeah, we're
Definitely.
gonna
Okay.
have to do that.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I'll definitely make my book list.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead, be more.
All right, so I know this is drastic switch, but
That's all
we
good.
couldn't let this whole episode go without bringing up this topic. This is the whole reason Cancer Mystique is on here because we talked about a topic between what intimacy is and sex and the difference between
Oh, this is the one.
yeah.
Okay.
You was oh that's right. D.Troy
Uh,
didn't know what we was talking about.
yeah, I had no idea what was going on.
I was trying to explain, but basically it was a post where um, it was a partner, it was partnership, and the man was washing the woman's hair, and the poster I think said something about it being this is intimacy, and I forgot your exact comment, but it had something to the lines of intimacy and sex, and I think what I was trying to get across is sex is intimacy, even in its lowest form. Um, but if you don't mind, can you kind of explain to us what you would say the difference is between those two to you, especially coming from a woman, because we some of us men need to hear that.
Yeah, so let's get into that. All right. Woohoo. Okay, so be more, you're not wrong. But I feel like because we try to use intimacy and sex interchangeably, it's a very superficial reality of what intimacy is. So let me ask y'all a question. Did you know that there are actually four different types of intimacy?
As opposed to the definition.
That just got complicated.
Um,
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
yeah.
no,
Like, are
no.
we
It's
talking about the
Are,
actual definition of
are,
intimacy?
exactly okay.
are we
Wait, wait,
talking
wait,
about
wait.
are we talking
Good.
about the love language thing or are we talking about
No,
intimacy?
no, 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 no. We're not talking about love. Like we're talking about we took intimacy and it's funny you said okay. It's not I don't want to say that it's complicated again, right? If we only stop as intimacy is sex, then it's very superficial. It's not about it being complex. It's about understanding a concept in its entirety.
Okay,
So,
but
there
that's
is
probably
sexual intimacy. Yeah, there is sexual intimacy, and I'll say that all day. But that's where we usually stop. You said in its lowest form. I don't want to say I wouldn't say lowest form, but I would say that it's not. It's incomplete. Okay, so there are four different types of intimacy. Okay, so one type is what they call experiential intimacy, and that is the intimacy that you get just from you being engaged in activities that y'all can do together, kind of like stuff for teamwork, recreation, him washing her hair in the video, washing dishes together, I don't know, going on a hike together. This is more along the lines of spending time together. Okay, so that's one type of intimacy. Okay, the other type is the emotional intimacy, and this is where usually the men kind of hark on the women about. It's just all emotional. Why are you gonna emotional intimacy? And that is when you have a safe space. Like you can share your feelings, you can share, whether they're comfortable or uncomfortable. You can you can share both positive and negative. One way that I would wrap that up is that emotional intimacy is the ability for you to be vulnerable and sensitive. Okay. Then there's intellectual intimacy. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a big intellectual intimacy. You got to stimulate my
We can
mind.
tell.
We can
Okay?
tell.
We can tell.
tell.
We see that.
Oh, it's
I'm
evident.
like,
Yo.
don't you come over here.
Don't you worry about that
thinking,
part.
You gotta
yeah, I'm
read
like,
a book to
don't you
date
come
her.
over here. Yeah, exactly.
Two
Exactly.
books.
Like, don't you come over here being like, yeah, roses are red and violets are blue. And I'm gonna be like, I'm about to throw a book at you. Like,
Uh-huh.
that
That
don't work
rhyme.
on me.
That rhyme. I like that.
I did.
Okay. Intellectual is like when you're comfortable sharing ideas, you engage in thought-provoking conversations. You get to share your ideologies and perspectives, right? Whether you agree or not. And then everybody's favorite, the sexual intimacy. That's when you get to, show your skills
For sure.
in the
For
bed.
sure. You know.
Look, she like, I'm from Texas, shouting.
Everything's bigger in Texas, but go ahead.
Right?
Well, now, so there's actually 4 different types of intimacy, and the way that I like to bring this home is that I remember one time I went to a marriage retreat. Yes, I was married at one time. I went to a marriage retreat, and he talked about how women and men are different. Like for a woman, in order for us to become sexually aroused, you usually have to stimulate or make sure we're comfortable or make sure we're okay mentally and emotionally. And then the floodgates open up. You
Yep.
know.
Facts.
Yeah.
And then we say,
Big facts.
well, for a man, yeah. And then we say, well, for a man, it's more of the physical first. But I don't know.
You walking
I
by?
think it's
That's
just
it.
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
All you gotta do is walk by.
I think it just yeah. I think that it depends on the maturity level.
Yeah.
I think the more mature a man is, then him and the woman match. But also too, the way that I like to think about it is, okay, you think about somebody who you might have had a one night stand with, or it was just a booty call, right? It was pure sex. Like it was like she was fine, my soldier was ready to march. I did that thing, I jumped out, right? But then you think about a woman who you were friends with. You have the experiential intimacy, you have the emotional intimacy, you have the intellectual intimacy. Hands down, I have yet to hear anybody who does not say that sex is so much better because you have that connection.
Definitely.
Emotionally,
Definitely.
mentally, and spiritually, right?
All that chemistry.
So-
Woo.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Woo.
earth shattering.
Oh,
The one you still talk about when you're old and gray.
Yeah.
Especially if you've been waiting for it.
Oh, yes. And so it's that build up, right? And so this is why I really want to engage the topic of intimacy, because now this is intimacy in its entirety. And to be honest, you can have sex with somebody and still not build intimacy. So that, like, even though we use them interchangeably, they are actually two different things. And also too, okay, I like to say we live in a sex craved society with an ego complex. Usually when you hear about sex, it's all about how it makes you feel physically. Okay. But there are 2 sides to sex. You can either just have penetration, or you can have healing sex. And what brings the healing to sex is the intimacy.
That's when they go crazy.
Mm-hmm.
No.
When you heal them.
When you
No.
heal
Okay.
No.
heal them.
Let me tell you.
You
Listen.
heal them. You
I'm
heal them.
listening. I'm listening.
Listen, Linda.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, no, I'm glad that you brought that up because I've actually taken like a certified sex therapist course.
Oh, here we go.
Oh man.
I was going to ask you where you got all those 4 different things of intimacy from. I was going to ask you. I was like, hold on, where's this coming from? You know what I mean?
No.
Go
No,
ahead.
I actually didn't get that from the sex therapist course, but this is what I did take from it. Okay. Oh crap, my birdie flew away. What was I saying? This is what I did take because a lot of times I will hear guys say that like, oh man, it was so good. I may go crazy, may go crazy. And what I will say is that it has nothing to do with your penis, especially because if
Oh
you're
no,
We
healing,
know
she's
that.
not.
no.
We know
Yeah,
that.
if it's healing, she's not gonna go crazy. What that lets you know is you need to pull out because she already was emotionally unstable. You need to be able to mate with someone who is emotionally stable.
Good point.
There is a difference, but when you want to feed your ego, it's nice to be able to sit
What's
with the
it?
boys, or even women do it. They be like, "Girl, this so good, girl." No, that is you feeding your
But
ego, and that gets nowhere.
but what?
It is that person needs to heal.
I've never heard of an emotionally stable woman. So where is she at?
Ooh,
Well,
ooh,
well, let me say this.
ooh.
Let me say this. Let me say this. It's not even about an emotionally stable woman. It because you also don't have emotionally stable men. If a
Oh, for
man is
sure,
going to
definitely.
use, yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And the thing is that one, because of the way we're socialized into sex, we don't see it as a responsibility. We see it as something recreational.
Hmm.
Sex has not always been recreational. You
No.
study the origins of sex and how cultures really view sex and how they use sex. Like everybody talk about the Kama Sutra, right? They're like, "Ooh, dang, he bending her like this." Did it. But if you really read into the Kama Sutra, it's talking about aligning chakras. It's talking about energy centers. It's like, oh, hey, if she
Yeah.
have this health problem, right, you can heal that through sex, right?
Mm.
So the thing is that one, you really need to be mature before you have sex or mature.
No,
I
that's
don't
not what
feel
we
like that's
preaching. That's not what we
no,
preaching at
yes,
all. No, no.
no, because if you're not because if you're not mature enough emotionally, mentally, spiritually, you're gonna use it to try to fill a void that can't be filled with sex. You're gonna be using it to brag about how good you is.
Mm.
You're gonna be using it to be destructive, and it's not supposed to be used to be destructive. It's supposed to heal. It's supposed to like sex is like. Let me tell
I
you,
think it's
I love
multi-layered though.
it.
I
I
think it's
mean, let me
multi-layered.
say this.
I hear you,
It
and I think that's the
it's
right
very
answer,
multi-layered.
but it's multi-layered. There's so much more that
It
can
is
go
very
along with that.
multi-layered. I mean, it is very multi-layered, but I'm also a bigger picture person.
Yeah.
We have this journey, right, that help us go through the layers. That's how you develop your maturity when it comes to sex. That's how you develop what it is that like your whole ideology around sex. Let me just say that. Okay. But I do feel like um okay, this is how I view sex. Sex is like the most powerful energy because it gives you the power to create. I feel like when you engage in sex, this is you stepping into your God self.
Mm.
This is the divinity
I've heard that
within you.
before. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the divinity within you.
We
And let me say this. Let
we
me say
probably
this.
should have picked up on this at another because we need to go deep into this.
Yeah, we do, and I'm ready. I got books, man.
Yo, God.
Okay.
Yo,
But let me just say this.
still trying to heal
Okay.
more than one person. But go ahead.
Yeah, he trying to get there as
Okay.
usual.
You know what?
As usual,
You know
still trying
what?
to get there.
I want to say I want to say yes. And another unpopular topic, that's also part of polygamy. Okay,
Oh,
a
Well,
polyandry.
Really
We
can I
though?
be?
need to
Can I?
do
Really
another
though?
podcast about that.
Did you?
Okay,
Did you?
you
yes,
can.
yes. Because everybody was against me when I talked about it and when I was giving my
Who?
points.
Who?
Who?
Huh?
Who was against you?
I thought y'all had talking points against me. Like I don't know what he talking about, but
Nah,
I don't
we can
know
go
about
back.
that.
we
Yeah,
just
we need our
we just
listeners to
listened.
go back and listen to
We
that
just
episode.
listened. We didn't go against you.
Yeah,
Oh,
we ain't go against
But
it.
but
All right.
I didn't want my
It's
wife
like,
trying to fight me, so I just listened.
Yeah.
That's all I did.
let me say this. Even with that, it's levels to that.
It is.
But okay, we gonna have another show.
Oh,
I'm really
We're gonna
definitely.
like
have
Yeah.
to.
this,
Yeah,
but
we definitely
Because I
gonna
want
have
to. I would like to ask you about gigolos. Could a gigolo be a sexual healer?
I'm gonna say yes. But because you
So
know
so
what? Let me say
so
this.
Still's question is, become a gigolo. You can be a sexual healer.
Oh,
That's the answer to the
yeah.
question, right?
Yeah,
Look.
So he can do more than one, right?
Hold up.
But let me say
So I get
this.
another job.
One that you really enjoy.
Yeah.
I was expecting a pot to come in that picture real quick.
Nah, she working. She working. Keep going. Go ahead.
But let me say this. When it comes to whether you use your sex for healing or as I like to say, recreate trauma, it is all up to the person. That's why I say it's a responsibility. That's just like if we even talk about, because like I said,
It is.
that is the closest to you stepping within the divinity and the God within yourself, being a co-creator.
Yeah.
You know, why do we have so many unwanted pregnancies? Because we see sex as fun. We don't really know the dynamic of it. But when you see it as a responsibility and you understand, okay, forget the condoms and stuff. I'm talking about for real, for real. Okay, but when you really, really, really see it for what it is, and also too, sex is something that's supposed to be appreciated. I feel like if you always stay in that recreational mindset, do you really appreciate it? That's an energy you just don't share with anybody.
Yes, you do. Yes. Definitely. I mean, I get what you're saying. You talking on a whole. Yeah. I understand.
I'm a bigger picture perspective.
I get it, but you also have to see the small. That's why I said that's multiple, and we're gonna have to visit that. But
we will. Oh, yeah. But to wrap this up, intimacy and sex are actually two different, distinct concepts. But when you have a balance of both, that's where you introduce healing and you have more of a respect for it. And also too, I want to say for me as a woman, I'm very sensitive to that because I do understand that I'm a portal and I just can't have all these different men up in my temple. Okay, some of them just coming to wipe their feet off.
Yeah.
Some of them coming because they like, dang, look at them, look at the way them pillars built, man.
Yeah.
And some of them coming because they understand my value and my worth, and they're actually coming to heal and to build in more than one way when we use that sexual energy.
So, see, I want to ask you a question.
Hey.
A question on top of that, like, how do you tell the difference? How do you go about telling the difference yourself? But
dude, let me tell you. Okay, so I'm gonna throw a word out there. I don't know if y'all have heard it before. So one, I kind of want to throw 2 words out there. Okay, my first word is that I'm a sapiosexual.
Whoa, that's
okay.
That sounds fun.
What's that?
I need. I've looked that up. It's a person that basically you can't, like, I can't get turned on unless you intellectually stimulate me.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, there's a level to it, right? Because some men know how to talk a good game, right? They're more talkers than doers. So the second word I'm gonna throw out there is that I am an empath. So I'm really good at checking energies. Like I have yet to prove myself wrong when I get a feeling about the energy and the sexual energy of a man. So, but also too, you know, that's not my biggest thing. I'm more about the other 3 types of intimacy because I'm like, hey, if we can build that, then the 4th one is about to be
that's fire. Yeah, that's
about to be on.
Yeah, that's the least of all forms, if you ask me. That's like the bottom tier. That's.
Oh, so that's what you meant by lower form. Okay, gotcha.
No. Actually, all right. So when you talk to me, if people know I'm technical. So when I'm technical, right, when you actually look at the word intimacy and what it actually means, sex is actually defined as intimacy. So that actually is a definition of intimacy. So that's what I'm talking about. So when you talk about intimacy and say that it's not sex, that's why I was like, oh, I disagree with that because it is. It is sex. Whether you, but now at the same time, when you said intimacy and sex are in 2 different realms, I agree with that because they are, but they aren't necessarily 2 different things while being separate. I don't know if it might be a little harder to understand, but I know you get it.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong. You know, sometimes you have to be careful with being technical. Even when we use our words, right? And sometimes the way our words are defined, we have to be careful. Like words help us label feelings, emotions, those experiences, right? But you have to be able to delve deeper beyond the word to really truly understand the depths, the levels, and to understand something in its entirety. So when I hear intimacy is sex, no, it's not, because that's like all inclusive. Oh, intimacy is sex. That's it. No,
Nah, but that wasn't
sex
what I
is
was
a
saying.
part of intimacy. Gotcha. Well, no, I'm just saying. I'm just saying, like from my perspective. So,
Hmm.
like, cause I went and looked up the definition of intimacy, and it does. The first one was a state of being intimate. The second one was suggesting informal warmth or privacy, and the third was engaging in, involving, or marked by sex or sexual relations. So,
It's in
thank
the
you. I
definition.
believe it should be, yeah. So
It
that's the
doesn't explain.
definition,
It
right?
doesn't
But
explain
then,
all of it. It has so much more to it.
right.
But that's why I said even on its basic form.
Well, right. Okay. Okay. And I get that, but I try to get away from being too
I
technical
see.
because then you miss the bigger picture. So that's why I wanted to, yeah, because also too, I feel like it's a lazy approach. If I look at one thing and they say, "Oh, that's it," and I'm like, "Okay, fine, that's all I'm gonna go off on," but
No.
then my experiences kind of prove that wrong along the way. It's like, oh snap. I'm gonna say yes and no, but to me, I really like the bigger picture
You
because
don't
I
like
want.
those two to be together. I get it.
No, they can be together, but don't dismiss the rest of it
Hmm.
because you only want to associate it with one form or one type. That's what I don't want to be dismissive.
Hmm.
There's other forms of intimacy. It's not only with sex.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Oh,
trying to say.
she's spitting knowledge. She's spitting
Yeah.
knowledge. Definitely.
So
Knowledge.
I need to read tonight.
yeah.
I don't got
Call
no
her
books.
cancer.
Look. He
Call
looking
her
up in
cancer
the
knowledge.
look. He looking over the corner like, hold on. We
I
can
ain't got not one book. I got a video game over there. I'm tripping. I gotta start reading, yo. But I love it, though.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it the way she's breaking stuff down.
Yeah, because it's
And I
thoughtful. It's
agree.
not just
I
we
agree.
like that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's so
Yep.
many levels of intimacy that it's you can write a whole book just on that alone, just all the different levels. So
Yeah.
it's deep,
Hmm.
and she's speaking volumes
And
right
we
now.
should talk about love languages because I brought up a different perspective to love languages.
Ooh,
And so
you're gonna
we
have to
should
listen
also
to
talk
that
about that
episode.
too. Okay.
We
Oh
talked
no,
What's
about
no,
that? What's that?
we could talk
How's that?
about it again because she about to take it to a whole
yeah,
another level. Matter of
but I'm
fact,
just saying.
we need to bring Peso on for that one.
Yeah,
Yes.
We need to bring
yeah.
Peso on
We
for
gotta get
that
Peso
one.
on.
Yeah,
We
definitely.
got. Of course
Yeah.
you are, Nicole. Of course you are.
Of course,
You're
right?
never on our side. Never.
Yeah, but that's dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
No, yeah, this has been awesome. And like
Yeah.
I say, I just give a lot of thanks and appreciation to y'all because like I said before, us as women, we're always out there. We're always giving the feminine perspective. We're always, the one out here talking and using our words and stuff. But especially like I'm with three black men. Like I'm loving this masculine energy right now.
Okay.
And so I really appreciate y'all, y'all using a platform to express yourselves and give us a more masculine perspective, and everything like that. Like it it just feels good. And then also too to have black men, black women coming together and having a conversation that is
Mm-hmm.
productive.
Productive.
That's the biggest thing because
What's up?
every time you
Absolutely.
see us talking, we fighting and we cussing each other out or we trying to tear each other down,
Facts.
and it's good
Yeah.
to come in and you have like this agape love, you
Mm-hmm.
have this respect, and hey, all of our perspectives and ideologies, yes, they matter, and it's a matter of just coming together and just putting it together like a puzzle piece,
Oh yeah.
and I love it.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
It's
And,
amazing.
and as you know,
Yeah.
everybody's not going to agree on everything, but we could always come to that common ground
Mhm.
and just understand each other. That's all it's
Yep.
about is understanding each other. It speaks
Yep.
volumes.
Hey, round of applause for cancer, man. Round of
Oh.
applause.
Yeah. We
Definitely.
appreciate you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell,
For
tell
sure.
your people. Tell your people watch you.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
We appreciate
Matter
it.
of fact, let's let her take us out. What's your final thoughts to leave to the people?
What's your
today?
fun? Just your synopsis of today's episode and what's on your mind. Period.
Um, I want to say my biggest thing is don't take everything at face value. One, we got to delve deeper into intimacy. Two, BMore made a really good point about how we do speak up and fight against black on black crime, right? It's just not televised, but it doesn't mean it's not happening. So I encourage people to, I know we live busy lives and I know that we all have our own stuff going on, but don't take everything at face value and don't be afraid to put yourself out there to want to know the truth because not everything that's given to you is truthful. So do yourself a favor and make sure you connect to your higher power. Make sure you connect to yourself and don't be afraid to really just dive deeper than what's on the surface. And I think that just applies to all areas of life. That's how you get fulfillment. That's how you find truth. That's how you find healing. That's how you begin to really step into a place of empowerment.
Awesome. I
Cause-
like it.
Okay.
Because it's all
Yeah.
I like it.
It's all smoke and mirrors. You got to go past all that. It's
All smoke and mirrors.
Awesome.
Uncut. Uncut.
That's right.
Uncut.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's been real. It's been a blessing having Miss Cancer on, and we'll catch y'all later.
Thank y'all.
All right, we out.